I probably would have started off by approving the monthly bills that are paid. Even if it's not in state law, it's in the code of conduct or in the historical conduct of the school board. As long as they're not embezzling money or spending it unwisely, you know, I know it's up to 600 or 700 pages sometimes, depending on what time of year it is, but that's one way that we can support, you know, let our schools know that, yeah, we're supporting them, that we do approve of the budgets that they've set for themselves and that they're, the way that they're spending their money. A lot of the stuff in that is just your normal bills, your insurance, your utilities, your other normal household expenses only on a school level. I wouldn't have gone out into the public and debated with the district personnel on whether or not the Common Core or the Common State standards are appropriate or inappropriate. I would have left that to somebody else. There are so many people that are for and against that it didn't need to be a school board member out there. Even if you're representing yourself in that kind of a public situation, most of the times you are listed as Mrs. Wendy Hart, Alpine School District board member, or introduced that way, even though I know that you were representing yourself and not the school district at the time. I would have stayed out of that whole debate and let somebody else be the mouthpiece.
I'm sorry. Wendy's position on the board was Wendy's, and I think she did what she would do, and I don't think it's in my position to say what I would do differently or judge her for what she did in any way, shape, or form. Just as if I make it, I would hope other people wouldn't judge what I've done. I do know, I just want to go back. With that said, I would like just to say to go back, I wouldn't publicly go out, and this is not to Wendy, this is back to the other question, because I didn't get to say, I would never go out and publicly go against what we did. If you asked me in the supermarket, or if you asked me a question, I would answer it, but I wouldn't go out and publicly say this board decision was wrong, or I'm totally against it or campaign against it. I think we need to work together. And once a decision is made, I do agree with the fact that we need to move on and try to do the best we can with what's there. And if it does come back up again, then voice my opinion there. But sorry, that's my answer.
I appreciate Wendy's time and energy that she has spent in her term as being a member of the school board. But I feel that Wendy represents a small group that is very vocal in our community, and that's great to be vocal and to express your concerns and desires, but I feel that the vast majority of our community in our specific cluster is not being represented in the way that Wendy might represent them. I know that she's passionate about what she does, and that's great. I think we should all be passionate about something. But I feel like that I would have an opportunity to better represent the majority of our community in dealing with the issues that come our way. Not that I would not be willing or able to listen to and take into the concerns of all people. I think that's the important thing. But I think that sometimes the majority's interests are not always being heard.
Well, if I thought I was going to do something different, I probably would have done it. I'd like to address a couple of the things that have come up. First of all, our board has never taken a formal position on Common Core. We have not been given that opportunity by the state board. So, and I did vote to appropriate funding for textbooks because I believe our teachers, whatever the standards are, our teachers need the resources. And so I am happy to give our teachers the resources to do the job that is being imposed on them, whether I agree with what is being imposed or not. But having said that, the Common Core is not just standards. This is an overall reform effort that requires teacher evaluations being tied to test scores, which is a completely inappropriate way of using standardized tests. It was passed and agreed upon by the state board, but it was done under the auspices of the Governors Association and the chief state school officers, neither of which are elected organizations, neither of which have the authority to determine common standards. And so when you're talking a principle, and there are several principles here, primacy of parents, parents were taken out of this process. You're talking local control, you're talking transparency. Every one of those principles that I stand for was violated by the Common Core adoption process. And I believe that it is incumbent upon me to stand up and say that. Now, whether you agree or whether you disagree, that's why we have 7 members on a board as opposed to 1, because all the voices need to be heard and need to be represented. And so if you are in favor of Common Core, then you should not vote for me. But if you are opposed to the overall Common Core reform effort, then you need to know that there are 3 people currently on the board who should be able to advocate that side as well as those who are advocating for it. And we need to, as a board, march forward with both support and dissension to decide what is the best course of action. And I would argue that even those of us who did not approve of the Common Core and the way that it was brought into the state, we are still supportive of the teachers and the training of the teachers. Additionally, I will not ever vote in favor of something that I have not read and that I do not understand. And so when I say I approve of something, I approve it. I have read it, I have studied it, and I approve it. And I will not ever tell you differently.